had suggested continuing or springing off of what we did, you did, why do I say we? What we did last week in our plein air situation. And in a sense, this becomes the third in kind of a series where we, on the week before last, this handout that you had, where I sort of walked you through photographs. We talked about painting from nothing and approaching it and giving yourself a focus. Then we were fortunate to be in the real situation at Fort Smith and had that wonderful day. I thought, I mean, I loved what happened, and it was a lovely day. So, you know, in some ways hoping that the focus challenge would help, you know, in weeding out all the confusion, all the rocks and the weeds and everything else. So, and then now day 3, coming back from that experience possibly with something that you might want to develop further, or you might want to keep in your head. Often remembering what Margetta has pointed out many times, and I too have agreed and have pointed out, how Bonnard got his inspiration in these beautiful watercolors. Many of his watercolors are where he was working from the real thing, mostly not plein air so much as in his dining room, looking out a window. But and then taking that in his head and the drawing, and developing and changing things, moving, eliminating into a painting, then often in oil. So that kind of process is something to, again, awareness of that process is, I think, a huge help. So with that in mind, I have photographs if you need anything to jog your thoughts. I had fun just playing with the photographs myself. Margetta, Judy, which this one was such a fun setting, and there's a photograph over there, just enveloped in this color, which a number of you did do that site from the famous log, the log group. Just that looking into these jigsaw puzzles or auras, whatever you want to call it, of depending also on how you approach it. So think about that. Think about using any of these. The things on the tables are, because I feel that it's important to also provide something that people might want to work from that. Keep in mind what happens when you have a jar or whatever I have put very pattern against pattern, thinking about Vuillard a little bit, pattern against pattern, scale of pattern changing, things you see through, in, around, that become a unifying thing that is not so darn different from that. So various examples up here of different things, including branch, very Asian, Wolfcon, what's his name? Abbott Henderson Thayer. Look at this. That could not be more.
Very modern.
So it was so modern that when I put it up like this, thinking.
Right, I can see that.
It is.
Isn't that funny?
Isn't that great?
Yes.
That is hysterical.
But that's his realistic side. This is actually the peak of the mountain. I think it's
Right.
Mount Monadnock. Many people will paint this. It's wonderful because you get the above the tree line light, and it's a beautiful sensation. And then these flash, flash, flash. Yeah, it doesn't look like that sort of.
I like the approach.
Yeah, dated studies, sentimental. Yeah.
Well, and his paintings were called tea cakes because there were all those women in those around this table.
Varied things. This is this carried to another degree. this is the approaching any kind of landscape thing through the very particular, and then playing up on the light and the, this looking into something very, that was made quite exciting by the light and contrast. Some of you may not know Martin Koller, an interesting painter. I would like to just quickly call your attention to Paul Cezanne. If it's not Bonnard, it's Cezanne. And I have a page turned there. And I was talking to Shelby too, who's doing a still life thing, but this wonderful, the way he layers strokes and very, very pale, thin washes. This is from that book. It is the light and space-creating white of the ground that is largely responsible for the weightless quality of his watercolors. The disposition of colors with an eye to the rhythm of the surface was more important to him than a faithful attention to the phenomena of aerial perspective. And I'll read one more, because it's so good. Composed his areas of color in such a way that as little as possible of the illusionist spaciousness remained. He isn't a painter. He's talking only about his watercolors right now anyway.
Will you put that here?
He was not, pardon?
That would be next to the book.
I will. He keeps this lightness. He indicates shapes, trunks, whatever. That's just turned to one sort of forest thing, a frequent thing. And so I was playing with
But you
this.
think, you see the forest there though.
Yeah, but I took this picture and I started playing with it, pretending I'm Cezanne. And it doesn't mean that, the idea is to become like Cezanne or whatever, but you could do worse. You could do darn worse. I would love it if I painted. I mean, that's not the way I'm ever going to paint, I know. But it's very informative to take something and sort of be Cezanne for a minute and see what you do. It's again like choices. How do you make something, say what you want? I mean, I wanted to say, dappled shadow on path leading, a haiku almost. How do you translate this, which in a way is a very strange, kind of heavy photograph with a, whatever,
Look at that. I thought it was
in front of another tree.
That was the
But how do you turn something into something that's engaging and is engaging
seeing that.
to others, but first engages you and you say, this is what I want to say.